Wisdom is not simply knowing many things. It is the ability to understand oneself and to see the world with clarity. Few have embodied this pursuit of understanding as profoundly as Socrates, the philosopher of ancient Greece, whose life and teachings continue to inspire us today. Socrates once said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." He believed that true knowledge is not about memorizing facts or following what others claim to be true, but about questioning, reflecting, and seeking the essence of things. Every thought, every action, every decision, he taught, should be examined carefully, because through reflection, we begin to understand the nature of ourselves and the world around us. Socrates lived in a time when the city of Athens was filled with power, ambition, and strong opinions. He walked the streets, engaging with citizens, challenging them to think critically about their beliefs, their values, and the very meaning of life. He did not lecture from a pedestal, nor did he seek fame or wealth. Instead, he asked questions that were simple yet profound, questions that forced people to look inward, to confront their assumptions, and to discover the truth for themselves. Imagine a person in your own life, someone who constantly asks questions, who refuses to accept easy answers. This was Socrates, but his questions were never meant to belittle or embarrass. They were meant to guide, to provoke thought, and to encourage self-awareness. Through this process, he taught that wisdom begins not with answers, but with the courage to ask the right questions. Socrates also demonstrated the importance of courage and integrity. He did not shy away from speaking truth to power, even when it put him at great risk. When he criticized the leaders and customs of Athens, he did so out of a commitment to truth and justice, knowing that living a principled life was more important than personal safety. This courage is a reminder for us today that wisdom often requires bravery, the strength to stand by our principles, even when it is uncomfortable or unpopular. This courage is a reminder for us today that wisdom often requires bravery, the strength to stand by our principles, even when it is uncomfortable or unpopular. Another essential lesson from Socrates is humility. He famously said, "I know that I know nothing." This was not a statement of ignorance, but of profound understanding. He recognized that the more we learn, the more we realize the limits of our knowledge. True wisdom, he taught, is the recognition of our own limitations and the openness to continue learning every single day. Socrates also believed in the power of dialogue. He understood that wisdom is not a solitary pursuit, but something that grows through interaction, through listening, and through sharing ideas. Every conversation, every debate was an opportunity to refine thoughts, to discover new perspectives, and to deepen understanding. In our own lives, this reminds us that we can grow by engaging with others, by asking questions, and by remaining open to perspectives that challenge our own. Even in the face of death, Socrates remained steadfast in his principles. He could have avoided his fate, but he chose to accept the consequences of his actions rather than compromise his beliefs. This ultimate act of integrity teaches us that true wisdom is inseparable from moral courage, and that living in accordance with our values is more important than comfort or fear. Reflecting on his life, we see that Socrates' wisdom was not a distant or abstract concept. It was practical and deeply human. It encourages us to pause, to reflect on our actions, to ask ourselves what we truly value, and to live intentionally with honesty, curiosity, and courage. Every decision we make, every path we choose, can be informed by this pursuit of understanding if we are willing to question, to learn, and to act with integrity. Socrates also showed that wisdom is contagious. His ideas, carried by his students such as Plato, shaped entire generations, influencing philosophy, politics, and art for centuries. This teaches us that when we strive for understanding, when we live thoughtfully and intentionally, our actions and thoughts can inspire others, creating ripples of insight and growth far beyond our own lives. Finally, Socrates reminds us that wisdom is not an end, but a journey. It is a lifelong pursuit, one that requires patience, courage, humility, and reflection. It is a call to examine our lives, to seek truth, to act with integrity, and to continually grow. In a world filled with distractions and easy answers, Socrates' life is a guidepost, showing us that true understanding and true fulfillment come from within and from the commitment to live thoughtfully every single day. So let us take inspiration from Socrates. Let us ask the hard questions, reflect on our lives, and act with courage and honesty. Let us recognize that every moment is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to share wisdom with others. And in doing so, we can begin to live lives that are not only successful, but meaningful, rich in understanding, and filled with purpose.